13 countries and 1,709 days later, I'm crystal clear on one thing. Black people in America are second-class citizens. But thankfully, I found a solution. Shalom, my name is No Limit Eddie. I'm an American who moved to Africa at 21 years old. And I've documented my entire 4-year journey right here on this YouTube channel. If that sounds interesting to you, then drop a like on today's video. I feel it's only right to start this video off with a definition. A second-class citizen is a person who is systematically and actively discriminated against within a state or political jurisdiction. It turns out being black is enough to get you sent to jail longer. The Federal Sentencing Commission actually carried out an analysis of all the sentencing data that they had. And this is the federal government, so they had all of it. And they wanted to do this to figure out if a person's characteristics determine how long they spent behind bars. And it turns out, in the case of being black, it affects it significantly. What they found was that on average, a black person would receive a 13.4% longer sentence simply for being black. Now, most people don't think in terms of percentages, so let's break this down into real numbers. The average sentence a person receives when they go through jail federally is 12 years. And so if a white man and a black man commit the exact same crime, the white man is going to spend 144 months behind bars, right? And that's 12 years. But for that exact same crime, the black man is going to spend 163 years behind bars. So the black person is going to spend an additional 1 year and 7 months locked away. Now, to have an extra 1 year and 7 months of your freedom taken away just because of the color of your skin is unacceptable. And remember, 13.4% is only the average, meaning there's some people who may have got a 50% bigger sentence simply because of their skin color. Now, I will leave the link to all of these studies carried out by the Federal Sentencing Committee because, again, I know black Americans are second-class citizens, and I'm asking you guys to prove me wrong. Now, with that being said, that same Federal Sentencing Commission found that a black person was 23.4% less likely than a white person to receive a non-prison probationary sentence. Now, I'm not someone who's very astute when it comes to the prison system. I wanted to keep my mind free of that, and all praise to the Most High, I have no dealings with that system. I wanted to know, what is the difference between prison and probation? I asked this to ChatGPT, and this is what it gave out. So a goal of a probationary sentence is for rehabilitation and reintegration into society, ensuring public safety, versus the goal of a prison sentence is punishment, retribution, deterrence, and incapacitation, removing the person from society. So when it comes to Caucasians, white, they're getting probation 23.4% more often than a black person. And again, this data is actually comparing the two people committing the exact same crime. So it shows that black people are being given harsher punishments and for longer periods of time. So the black person has to be removed from his household, meaning he can no longer father his children, he can no longer be an active husband, he can no longer contribute to society, while the white person is just pretty much put onto a societal arrest. When you're on probation, you're still able to keep a job, you're still able to live at home with your wife and with your children, you're still able to be a member of your community, right? And so the only punishment is you have to check in, you have to check in with a parole officer on occasion. Now, if you remember our definition from earlier, a second-class citizen is one who are actively discriminated against by a state or political jurisdiction. We just proved using data from the Federal Sentencing Commission, government organization, that blacks are being actively discriminated against by a political jurisdiction, aka the federal court system. But let's do some more. Let's move on to another point, which is hiring. You see, 90% of the American workforce is employed, meaning the average person needs a job to feed themselves, to clothe themselves, to provide for themselves. So hiring is something that is super important. There was a study done, right, that looked at hiring and how your race might potentially affect it, and it was done in the year 2003. And the study found that white people with a felony were actually hired more often than black people, and at higher rates than black people without a criminal record at all. The funny thing is, in that same article, they tried to prove that things had changed and things had gotten better. And so they redid a study with an even larger set of data, and they found that there has been no change whatsoever in the past 20 years. The same thing is true today, that whites, even those with a criminal record, are still hired at higher rates than blacks with no criminal record whatsoever. And again, the merit for the jobs is the same. Blacks are also being actively discriminated against in the job market, proving once again that they are being, I'm going to read another part of the definition, but they are being disenfranchised from social economic opportunity. See, I'm going to go back to the definition that I read earlier, right, which comes off of Wikipedia. And it says, while not necessarily slaves, outlaws, illegal immigrants, or criminals, second-class citizens have significantly limited legal rights, civil rights, and social economic opportunities. So again, you can have the same qualifications as a white person, okay? That white person could actually have a criminal record, which should lower them, but you are actually still getting hired just because of their skin color at lower rates than them. That is limiting your social economic opportunity, fitting the definition of a second-class citizen. But let's continue on. You see, it turns out that they don't even have to know you're black. As long as they think you are, then your application is getting put to the bottom of the pile. What evidence do I have to even support that? Well, there was another study done that found that black sounding names was enough to get your application and resume pushed to the bottom of the pile. So even just sounding black is enough to limit your socioeconomic opportunity. I'm not having beef with the whole second-class citizen treatment of black Americans, but I'm making this video because people are under the impression that blacks are not second-class citizens, but that's not true whatsoever, right? I received comments like this that inspired this video. So this guy, Ray, he says, I'm a black man who is American. I don't see myself as second-class, not in the least bit. If I were to go to Africa, I know I'm a foreigner. My pigmentation doesn't matter. I still get treated like an immigrant. That's to be expected. Then you have Petty, who says, if you see yourself as a second-class citizen, all in quotations, your problem isn't America, it's your mindset. You may be a bit entitled and misinformed. Interestingly enough, you're misinformed because you don't know the definition of a second-class citizen, but I will address these all in just a second. Let's read one more. Honestly, in America, they don't see you as lower Americans. Seems like you see yourself as lower American, and that's the real problem. Now, I have no idea if any of these guys actually talk like this, but there's a lot of gangster talk in the comments about me seeing myself as a second-class citizen. But in that video, I never said that I see myself, but I said I am a second-class citizen. I speak in very clear statement. And so when people misinterpret that, it kind of irks me a little bit. I don't have to feel oxygen around me for there to be oxygen around me. I don't have to feel my psoas muscle, right, which is the muscle that connects upper body to the lower body, for that muscle to be there. You don't have to feel something to be something, okay? I just have gone through two examples from the hiring process to the criminal justice system to show you that black people are being treated as second-class citizens, meaning what? We are second-class citizens, okay? Doesn't matter if you feel like it or not. And I'll just say this here too, because people get this misconstrued. Being a second-class citizen in America doesn't mean that you're destined to live a horrible life, that you can never progress in society, that a boot is on your neck and you can never rise up. No, okay? You can make progress in America, regardless of your age, regardless of your race, regardless of your gender, regardless of your upbringing. You can make progress in America. Like, America gives you the mindset and the tools to succeed, right? What I'm saying is, it is for a fact that if you are a black person, you will have to work harder, okay, to get the same thing as a white American. The same way, just by being black, you're getting a longer sentence and a harsher sentence. By being black, can you become a millionaire? Of course. Will it take you longer and be harder? Yes. You're limited by certain social economic opportunities, just like the one we're about to get into right now. So there's always been a saying, right, which is like, your home is your greatest asset. And I'm more a believer that homes are not really assets. Assets have to produce you cash flow. When the house that you live in, you're actually paying every month for it. However, it is true that for homeowners, for the majority of homeowners in America, the majority of their net worth is tied up into their home. And so it is, therefore, their greatest asset, at least on their net worth balance sheet. It turns out that black people are being disenfranchised from that wealth. Black people, when they're getting their home appraised, consistently get their home appraised at less than the contract value. When a home is in a predominantly black neighborhood, it's appraised on average 21 to 23% less than it would have been if it was in a predominantly white neighborhood. So what this means is the exact same house, right? The exact same color, the exact same insides, the exact same problems, okay? The exact same amenities, just moved into a predominantly black neighborhood means that it's worth 23% less. You move that exact same home in a white neighborhood, it's worth 23% more. And when you're talking about the price of homes in America, 23% could result in hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses. Now, it's possible that you might say, well, Eddie, white neighborhoods are better than black neighborhoods. And, that's a point that I can't necessarily disagree with. Okay, there's some white neighborhoods that are like, I'd rather live there than live in a predominantly black neighborhood. I'm not even going to hate on it. That point there, we can't necessarily say that's discrimination, okay? But let's talk about this, because this is 100% discrimination. So I'm reading from my computer, but there is a group called the National Community Reinvestment Coalition. And they did a mystery shopper style campaign where they went into the exact same home with the exact same neighborhood, same furniture, same everything. In one case scenario, and they invited appraisers to appraise the property. What they changed was the person who was the homeowner. In some cases, it was a white person, and in other cases, it was a black person. And in every case where the white person presented the home, the appraisal value was more. It was on average 13.9% higher. There were some standout examples where just by having a white spouse, right, promote the house or present the house as the homeowner, it resulted in a 12.9% higher bid, and that would have resulted in $40,000 extra, okay? So just being white earns you an extra $40,000 when getting your home appraised. Likewise, there was another example where the house raised another 9.1%, and that was $46,000 extra, right, added on to the market just because the color of your skin is white, okay? This cannot be explained away, right? The other one about the neighborhoods, that could be explained away. But this one, it's the exact same house in the exact same neighborhood. One time it's a white man presenting, other time it's a black man presenting. There was some also crazy disparities, right? Which is, one time an appraiser met a black homeowner, inspected the house, and never submitted a report. Yo, he never submitted a report for a job he was paid to do. Now check this out. He never also responded to communications. The same appraiser, okay, later met with a white homeowner and submitted the report promptly and communicated the entire way. Guys, you can't make this stuff up. I'm gonna leave links to this in the description. If you guys in the comments are saying, we're not second class citizens, prove me wrong. Bring the data, okay? Now, another crazy case was they made a black homeowner wait 11 weeks for their appraisal report, which is far beyond industry norms. And then that exact same appraiser, when he appraised a white person, he got it to them in 2 to 3 weeks. So again, this is second-class citizen treatment. Regardless of if you want to accept it or not, I don't care if you want to accept it or not. If you're black in America, you're a second-class citizen, okay? You don't have to feel like that. You don't have to feel less than, but you will be treated less than. And it's just important, in my opinion, that you're aware of it. These home devaluations, right, are estimated to be contributing to $162 billion in losses. So black people are being robbed of $162 billion, US dollars, of net worth because of these devaluations. That's the problem, guys. Because your home value can be, you can refinance your home and pull that out and make investments into a black-owned business. You can pull that out and make investments into the stock market, to make investments into whatever you want to. And we can contribute to the causes that we find valuable. We can contribute to the causes that we find useful, but we're being robbed of there's countries that probably don't even have GDPs that's $162 billion, and we're just being robbed of that. You cannot tell me that's not second-class citizenry. You might say, well, the solution is just, I've seen people in the comments say this too. If you feel like a second-class citizen, it's because you're not socially astute enough. Oh, go make some more money, right? They're talking that gangster talk, and I love gangster talk, okay? Because I don't talk gangster talk, but I talk facts. The facts is Terrence Bud Crawford, right? Multi-millionaire. He just had a fight with Canelo Alvarez. The fight was broadcast on Netflix. I tuned in. I'm in Uganda. I tuned in. Okay. And it was broadcast into millions and millions of homes. He made tens of millions, maybe even 50 million is reported, dollars in one night. $50 million, he's seen by hundreds of millions of people. He wins the fight. He's a black man, of course. He goes to his hometown of Nebraska. He reps Nebraska everywhere he goes. His hometown is throwing a parade for him. He knows the mayor. He's big in that city. He's leaving the parade that the town threw for him for winning the fight. He gets stopped by the police, and police stop him with guns drawn on him and his security, right? It's a big story, a big event. I'll try to even put some images on the screen. He's leaving the parade that the city threw for him. The police were there to protect him. Yet he gets pulled over with guns drawn on him. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how famous you get. It doesn't matter how well connected you are. He's friends with the mayor. You are a Negro in the United States. It is what it is. You can't win in a game where it was designed for you to lose. Do you just sit in America and cry, oh, woe is me? Not really, right? Because like I said, being a second-class citizen in America it's not that bad, okay? Like, you can still progress. Are they choking air out of you? 100%. But they're not choking all the air out of you to the point where you can't breathe at all and you're dying. However, you're experiencing what it's like being a second-class citizen. Okay, like I said, Terrence Bud Crawford, multi-millionaire, very famous, well-connected, and even still, he's still gonna experience. The solution in my mind is just, if you're tired of it, go somewhere where you're treated better. Go somewhere where they can't just profile you with their eyes. People say, well, tribalism is racism, and it's the same as racism, and this and this. Sure, let's agree with that, right? However, let's say there's a police officer, he's black, and he sees me driving my car and I'm black. He cannot just look at me and say, yep, he's a Muganda. Yep, he's a Mutoro. No, it's impossible. There would have to be talking, there had to be communication, they had to see, well, what's your last name, right? Versus racism is so much more point blank. They see a white, they see a black, they like whites, they don't like blacks, go on from there. That's my belief, man. And number two, I'm not from a tribe. So the preconceived notion, they may have a preconceived notion about this tribe or that tribe, okay, but I'm not from any of them. So that preconceived notion cannot really fall upon me. If anything, the American brand is kind of what covers me. And the American brand is very strong, I'm gonna be honest with you. So a lot of times it comes with perks being considered an American. Right? But anyway, you guys need to understand, you're second-class citizens. If you have beef with it, you got beef with it. But leave it in the comment section below and we'll see what you guys come up with. Prove me wrong.
YouTube thinks this is the very best video on my channel for you to watch next. Click it and see if they're right. Other than that, see you all in the next one. Yah willing. Shalom.